outdoor casual gathering.
And was it successful?
It was. It's not everyone has this, but we do have one member who lives in a place with this big, beautiful garden. And so it's fun to be there. It's easy to drop in and out, so people don't have to come and stay. It's like an open house. And we just have tea sandwiches and cookies and tea. And so it's fun. Yeah, and we then take a break for the summer. I think a lot of giving circles do. So we're on break from the 1st of July until the middle of August. So this is also like the last thing we do before summer break.
That's great. I love that idea. Others? Ah, yes. Sharon Beckman, please unmute yourself.
Yes, I just did. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Impact 100 Redwood Circle here in Santa Rosa, California, always has one of its four general meetings in the summer, and that's totally meant as a social. So this year we're having it at the Children's Museum. And so that's just on our schedule every year to have some sort of a summer social. The other thing that we've done recently is we've had new member socials. We found that a lot of people, when they first joined, were not getting involved right away on committees. And so it's very difficult to connect when you only have four general meetings a year. So we've started where we'll take a block of new members. This latest one was anyone who had joined in 2023. And we had a meeting at members' home just so they could sort of get to know their fellow cohorts of new members.
That's great. Thank you. I know, Margaret, you have your hand up.
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Coming out of COVID, several of our members said, could we just have something that, no meeting, but just get together and just strictly social? So I thought that sounded like the right tagline. So that began in August, the year after COVID. And it was so successful. And we said, this is members only, unless, of course, you have a friend who should be a member, feel free to invite. And it was so successful that December came, and January is a month that we have no programming. I said, let's have a strictly social in January. So now that's our new 2 additions to our schedule, 2 strictly socials a year.
Margaret, can you describe what your strictly socials are? Are they held in a member's home or elsewhere?
Yes, they are always at a member's home, and starting at 5:30 to say 7:30. And it's kind of like a wine and cheese affair. And in the first, we probably had 60 people attend in August. And then in the January, we filled up a house that probably shouldn't have had more than 35, but we had close to 50 people. And it was just wonderful. So then more recently for a summer one, we had it in the out of doors in a member's garden. So it's a wonderful opportunity for people to reconnect before we start the September programming.
How nice. Harriet, I know you have your hand up, and then Leanne too. Oh, and then Sue.
So I will mimic a number of things that Margaret said, but giving together, and we're located in the greater Washington area, DC. Our co-presidents about a year and a half ago came up with the idea of having periodic coffees, and those would be at various restaurants in different geographic locations, so they were convenient. And they started with maybe just 10 people showing up. And the last time it was over 20. And it started as members only, just like Margaret said, but we then realized it was a great opportunity for people to meet people as they were considering joining Giving Together. And we've had really a leap in membership, which has been fabulous. And we do attribute that to having more of these social, because we have a great community service program where people can meet each other when they're volunteering. But this really is an opportunity for people to learn more about each other and also to learn more about what's going on with Giving Together. And we've mixed the times. Many times it's in the morning, but we just recently had a happy hour at someone's apartment. And so that's pretty much it, but it's made a big impact, and it's something that our members and prospective members seem to really appreciate.
One question, Harriet, is when you have your coffees out at a restaurant, do you ask for RSVPs? Do you work with the restaurant to set aside a table?
We choose, and it's really been our co-presidents who've kind of chosen the location, and they have been just coming in and buying tons of, brownies and croissants or whatever, and then people get their own coffee. I actually have suggested where I live, there's a lovely library that we can use and make it private. And some people have actually said that there's some people who feel like they'd like to have it in a more lot less commercial space. And so we're looking into that. And but no, there's no RSVP. And yeah, the only thing we asked people, we did when we had the happy hour, because it was in someone's apartment, we did ask for RSVPs because there was a limit on the number of people she could host.
Thank you. Leanne.
Good morning from Sun Valley, Idaho.
Ooh.
Summer is extremely active for us because it's an extremely short season. And in addition, since over half of our membership are part-timers, many of those part-timers are here in the summertime to enjoy the wonderful outdoors and the great weather. So we have many events. The first one is a member appreciation event, and that is, primarily to express appreciation to our members, although we do invite guests to attend. We have two of those events a year, one in the summertime. It's nicknamed our Member Teeny because we usually feature a different kind of martini every year. And this year our theme is Lemons and Pearls. That will be at a member's home on July 2nd for 2 hours. We do ask for RSVPs because most of these are held in members' homes. The second one is our annual meeting and grantee celebration. This is by far our single largest event each year, and we're expecting it to be record-breaking this year, as we raised and distributed a little over $500,000 this year for grantees. Yeah, we just absolutely, we're still stunned and in awe. So we have a lot to celebrate. Then also we have throughout the entire year, but heavily concentrated in the spring and summer, we have what we call meet and mingles. Those are events where we don't ask for an RSVP, and we can have as few as 25 women show up and as many as 60 women show up. These are they're social, but also every one of them has a mission moment. We ask one of our grantees to give about a 7-minute presentation on their organization, any volunteer needs they have, and also how they are using the grant funds they received that year. Very, very effective for recruitment, because we believe, because not only do our guests get to network with other women who are interested in philanthropy in the community, but also because of these mission moments. They learn how devoted each one of us is to delivering on the mission. And then, and the focus of the next one, we're having a wine tasting that is hosted by the leader in wine education in our valley. And this one will be White Wines of the World. So we're calling it our WOW event. And then finally, we have a free summer symphony series. It's absolutely extraordinary. It starts the end of July and goes through the end of August. Some weeks we have 2 symphony concerts a week. And we're having an impromptu meet and mingle where before and after the event, people can just come by the lawn area where we'll be set up with our flags and some information for potential new members. So like I said, our summer season is so short and we have so many part-timers that are here only in the summer. Wow, we really, really focus on events.
Wow, you sure do. Sue, I know you've had your hand up. And we'd love to
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah. I live in Annapolis, Maryland, so the Blue Angels are flying over today. So if it gets really noisy, I'll try to mute. Yeah, and we're in the downtown. Anyway, we have this year we started what we call getting togethers. You know, our organizations in Around the Women Giving Together, and these are in Around the Women Getting Togethers, and they are either happy hours or coffees, but they're not in people's homes because we have too many people. The last one we had was actually at what's called the Pecos House Gardens, which is an Annapolis historic building and gardens, and we had 55 people. And we do request RSVPs, but people feel comfortable showing up no matter what. And we just want to get a feel for how many people we think will be coming. And what we've done is when we have a happy hour, it gets complicated because everybody has individual drink bills. But what we've done is for the happy hours, we have people bring $5 in cash so we can put out some appetizers for them. And that actually seems to work extremely well. So this summer we will be doing a coffee as well as a happy hour. We had a really cool happy hour last year at one of our local restaurants outside, and we'll do the same thing this year. And that's for everybody. And it's supposed to be members only, but if people want to bring guests, and somehow some people find out about it anyway, so we all register them and they can go. But last night we had our new member orientation, which is wonderful. We had 30 new members, and we do a 2-hour reception and an orientation. And that's right. And you're talking about how well done. We have 47 new members so far this year. So the membership committee is overwhelmed. We're just trying to keep our head above water.
And I noticed in the chat, many people have said that they have a separate committee that puts together these events. Anybody want to share? Go ahead, Harriet.
Well, I have a question and an answer. So we do, actually just in the last 2 years, we did create a social events committee. And so what we try to do, like, for example, we just a few weeks ago had our annual spring event, which is probably our biggest social event. And the board takes a heavy role in filling in gaps, but we also ask people to step forward to be the overall chairs. And we do get RSVPs because there is no cost to come to this event, but it's in a very lovely setting and catered. The question I have, because someone else mentioned grantees, this is the first time we invited all of our 27 grantees over many, many years, obviously, to attend. And it was incredibly successful. We've been talking a lot about our efforts to increase the diversity of our membership. And it just so happens that probably 99% of our grantees, we ask their executive directors to come or to send a representative, and they are largely people of color. And it was just interesting to see how it worked out, because we were a little concerned about whether there'd be a comfort level, and it was seamless. It was just seamless. So I'm just curious whether other people in planning these events, is there any focus on involving people of color?
And I noticed Sarah Woodburn, you mentioned in the chat that you're starting an SOS.
Sorry, 1 second. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Hi, reporting in from Denver, but in the St. Louis area is where our club is organized. A wonderful young member mentioned something that she was enjoying with a different group called Table Talks, where all of the young professionals simply meet up for breakfast somewhere, or meet up for lunch, or meet up for dinner. One host takes responsibility for setting a date, setting a location, and 8 people just jump on. And they have the cutest little, pictures of people around a table posted on LinkedIn and other social media portals. And it's just been a great way for them to jumpstart that, let's say, 22 to 45-year-old age band. So she's bringing that to our Spirit of St. Louis Women's Fund, SOS, starting next month. And we're super excited about that. She said for them, taking homes out of it really eliminated a lot of the stress for the young, busy professionals, either moms or single women, whichever. Just taking that off of it seemed to really lighten it up and bounce the attendance. So we're looking forward to seeing how that trial balloon goes. They're hosting 2 of these events in June. One is breakfast time slot and one is a dinner time slot.
You'll have to
I
let
never
us
thought about
know.
homes being such a stumbling block, but she's like, it takes homes out of it, being embarrassed about your home, having to clean your home. Is your home big enough? Is your home, just so many question marks in the young professionals' minds about their residents. And I thought that was really interesting. So I'm looking forward to, them choosing the hip places to meet up and see how many people jump on to sign up for a slot. And then you just divvy up the tab at the restaurant, individually. So there's no worry about, oh no, so-and-so ordered an expensive bottle of wine. I don't want to pay in on that. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited about it.
Keep us posted.
I think it'll be a hit. It certainly is with her young real estate professionals group. So we'll see if Impact Giving has that same outcome.
Good luck. And Margot, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to comment about the inviting your grantees to events. We have done that at Impact Essex, New Jersey, kind of for many of our public events, our educational events, our gatherings. We've invited them. And the thing that has really been extraordinarily successful in building the diversity of our membership has been combining it with a fellowship program where we've invited our grantees to come as a member, and we have a kind of an on-ramp where they pay $300 the first year, $500 the second year, and then a hope but not an expectation that they continue. And the $300 entry level gives them a chance for a taste. Sometimes their employer will supplement it. But it's not just like a one shot, here's a scholarship. It's giving people an opportunity a year or two to see whether this works. And we're in our 7th year now, and we just had our annual meeting, and one of our members, 2 of our members commented on, like, look at how this room has changed in 7 years. There's just so much more breadth. And the last 2 years we expanded it to a fellowship. We called it the Every Voice Fellowship, seeking women active in the nonprofit community, which we serve largely the Newark, New Jersey regional area. So many of the profits are run by people of color, but also young women early in their careers and Latinas, saying these are the voices we need to make our process richer. So you are doing us a favor by coming. But anyway, it's not exactly on topic, but I just wanted to respond.
Oh, that's wonderful. Others? And Sue, you have your hand up. I don't know if it's from before or.
No, I wanted to mention what we do. We have some sort of an education event or something 8 times a year, really big ones where it's public and as well as the members. We have an open house in April, and then we have what we call the grants showcase in September, where all of the grantees from the previous year present on how they use the money and who they are, and then the grantees that had just received the funds have a booth, basically a table, so they can talk about what it is that they do, and that is by far our most popular event. And what we do to make it easier for people is we have a separate events committee, and that events committee is responsible for securing the venue and doing the catering or whatever it is for any of the big full-blown events. They don't do the program. The program is done either by the education committee or the membership committee or the grants liaison committee. And then the smaller ones, like I talked about the getting togethers, those are right now all done by membership because they're much more informal and mostly just social.
Thank you. Celeste, you had your hand up a moment ago.
It was for another topic, so I don't want to take us backwards. And a lot of people have mentioned the things that we're doing, so I won't repeat it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Helps enrich. And Lisa Field from the Baltimore Women's Giving Circle had a question in the chat box about what time do different groups hold their new member events? Are those afternoon, morning? Go ahead, Celeste.
Okay. So this year we had a lot of new members, more than we had expected, which was a good thing. So we decided to hold a new member event in between the close of registration and before our big reveal. Our big reveal is when we announce how many members we have, therefore how much grant money we have. And it's a large event that can be overwhelming for people to walk into not knowing each other. So in February, we hosted 2 separate new member events. And we had 97 new members this year, and almost half of them came to the events. And we held one in the morning for coffee and one at night for a happy hour. And we had about a split attendance at both to try and, attract those that like coming during the day and then those are working during the day. And we found offering both options were effective. We had distinct groups of people coming to each. So for our group, that seemed to work well. And then they weren't as overwhelmed when they walked into the meeting in March and we had, 180 people in the room, for example.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your big reveal is? Do you vote? Is it a meeting?
So we have 2 big events each year. The big reveal is the first one. So membership closes for us on January 31st. So in the beginning of March, we have the big reveal where we invite all the members to come. And that's when we announce how many members we have for that for 2024 as an example. So it's a big secret. Nobody knows exactly how many members we have. And we announce it then through like a fun little skit. So this year we hit 408 members. So for us, it was pretty huge because we went from giving 3 $100,000 grants to 4. So it was very exciting and very cool. So that's what we do. It's just like it's just a cocktail hour, 90 minutes, and we announce our membership numbers for the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Leanne, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, as far as new hire, I'm not new hire, I'm going back to my working days. New member orientations. We host them 3 times throughout the year, and each time there are 2 options. We have a live in person that usually is an early evening with cocktails at one of our members' homes. And then we host one via Zoom. Zoom primarily, again, because we have so many part-timers. So it gives us the opportunity to include them in the new member orientations when they're back at their primary residence. As far as times of the day, now that we're attracting younger women who are working, we're finding that our best time really is from 5 until 6:30. That way people can get away from work. With hosting that many throughout the year, we've ended up, compared to when we had them less frequently, we get fewer members, which at first was a little bit uncomfortable for us because almost our entire board shows up for each of these orientations. So there are some circumstances where there's more of us than there are of the new members, but you get to spend more time hearing their stories and why they moved to the valley, what their career experience has been, which helps us, of course, match them up with committees that can utilize their skills. So we're pretty pleased with the way this new structure is working for us.
That's great. Before we go any further, I want to introduce my co-host, Anne Marie McGee. Anne Marie, wave your hands, who is from Impact Redwood Circle.
Yes, in Sonoma County, and I see a couple of my Redwood Circle colleagues on here, Linda Drew and Sharon Beckman. Just welcome everybody. The nice thing about Zoom, or good news, bad news, is you can still do Zoom when you have a cold. So here I am. So I am grateful for Renee to stepping in to help today. I have posted a couple things in the chat. If you can post your ideas for what we might talk about in July. We have ideas, but it's always wonderful to hear from you. I'm seeing things about new member onboarding, which regardless of your cycle, working that into your planning and how to do that. And also on member retention, which we've had sessions on that. And that's always an issue, how to keep our numbers, get them engaged. So but keep posting. We love that. Love hearing some of these ideas. There's some terrific summer things, and how fun to do that. I also want to comment on one that Redwood Circle did last summer. We used another grantee partner that was the Sonoma County Museum, and they have a big art gallery that lended itself to some appetizers and wine, and people mingled. We did recruit several members out of that particular event because we did it in the evening rather than Saturday morning, which is when most of our events have fallen to. And so that after work part, you see younger women come, they drop by, socialize, and then they can be on their way home. So that was another one, and that was an August event as well. So anyway, Renee, I'm gonna let you go back.
Anne Marie. So others who are doing activities in the summer, thinking about it, might have questions. For those who already do activities during the summer, please join the conversation. Raise your hand, unmute yourself, talk. So let me ask a question.
Yeah, Renee,
let
me jump in for just 1 second. What about it's also just as important what we learn from things that don't work out. So do people have suggestions on things that don't work out? I'm really curious on those that have events where you aren't requiring an RSVP, or how do people always RSVP? Do they just think they'll always be rude? That would be one topic that would be interesting to me, because I think the summer events, when they're more informal, there's not this formal program. Anyway, I'm just throwing out lots of things to think about. But are there events that you just said, we will never repeat this, and you're willing to share? I think we've all had them, so that's maybe we've all been perfect, but probably not. So anybody?
I will share a lesson learned. This is Impact 100 Cincinnati. Last year, we combined our education event with our Meet the Finalist event because our education event didn't draw as many people. So we thought, let's combine it because Meet the Finalist is the end of our phase of grant review teams assessing the grant applications, and it's the reveal of who the 7 finalists are. So that's always been a big event, and that's usually mid-June. So we combined that with our education event, and we busted out of the seams of the room that we had reserved because it was so many people responded, and some people wanted to meet the finalist program. Other people were there for the education program. So we almost didn't do it justice to either side. We didn't have the finalists talk about their programs. We didn't have enough time because we had to fit all this education stuff in. So this year we've separated them, and we just had our education event, which was amazing. And then June 24th is our Meet the Finalist event, which hopefully will be really separate and specific to that exciting announcement.
Thank you for sharing. That's helpful. When people have their new member events, do you have board members, committee chairs who come and talk and give sort of an orientation into the way your organization works? And I see, Maggie, you have your hand up.
Sorry, is this for education events you're talking about?
Oh, in new member events where
Our new member events have been pretty social. We have a brunch and a Sunday afternoon, which we feel can cover the working people and the people that are not or working. And it's been pretty successful. So we do not have anyone come talk. We try to just get to know the new members. So
anybody? Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
I was just going to say, we used to have every committee chair speak and talk about volunteer opportunities, and we discovered that that was way too much information at once. So now we have a 90-minute meeting, part of which is social and part of which is having one of the chairs get up and say, here are 3 things you need to know. One of which is, here is the email address that will get you to a human being who will answer your question, so that people get a little bit of information, they meet other new members, and they know how they can follow up. And that seems to be working better for engaging new members.
That's great. How do you decide what are the 3 things you absolutely need to know?
I wish I could remember the 3 things. That's a little embarrassing.
All right, no, don't worry. Don't worry. While you're thinking,
it's super simple things like the website address, the general email address, and oh yes, one of them is read the newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks, because that's everything you need to know.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. And Andrea, I saw that you had your hand up.
Yes, I'm sorry, I can't. The icon to raise my hand disappeared. With respect to new member events, look, when people start asking questions, things kind of slide together, in some of these events, because you always want to be very responsive. But we do have events that are more towards encouraging people to join. And then we would have actually new member orientations where when you have actually signed up, there is, you can do it in person, you can do it by Zoom. We sometimes have choice, but there is a set of information that we give them because, I'm an Impact 100 chapter. And so we've got certain cadence to what we do, certain big meetings that we have. And it's a little confusing sometimes when people start to understand our giving cycle and the events they will see and the routines that we take for granted. So we actually try to walk them through how the year will work. And there's a set of slides that we always try to optimize. Board members, not all of them will come, but some of them will come. And so we try to have a really specific orientation program targeted to what you need to know, what will be helpful to you as you go through your first year of giving.
Interesting. Very interesting. Others? Lisa or Pam? Because in our circle, Baltimore Women's Giving Circle, pre-COVID, we used to do orientation sessions in person, and we would have each committee co-chair come talk about the committees and kind of give out information, what new members could expect. And now that we're post-COVID, Lisa, who is our membership co-chair, along with Pam Pascalini, who's on here someplace, are doing new member social events.
Yeah, thank you, Renee. We currently we're doing a new member hike, which is going to be in early June, and we've, so far we've had 4 new members sign up to do it, and we're going to have so it's going to be more focusing on a social, but typically when we have a new member social, we definitely basically enfold an orientation into it. But we've sort of learned the hard way, at least in our circle. Maybe it isn't that way in other circles, but for us, whenever we bill it as orientation, we just don't get good, we don't get good enrollment. So, but when we say new member social, and then we have lots of time to socialize first, but then we have a circle co-chair and, a number of different people that, mention how our committee is structured. We have an organization chart that we always hand out. We make photocopies and let people take it home with them. And so, we definitely talk about our grants cycle. But I really like Andrea Bernard's idea of including the timeline for the times of year that we do things. I actually hadn't thought about describing our circle in that way. So thank you for that.
One thing to correct myself, I just actually pulled up our slide deck. I just got the most recent slide deck, and we will have prospective members come also, but we do talk to them about, the stages of the impact cycle. And because we got a lot of questions about that first year. So I didn't want to think we were exclusive of people who'd want to join, but I'm just looking at the deck, and what we have is, how we work. We show them some things about prior grantees, our annual timeline, what to expect when you join, different levels of involvement, showing them the different committees, the grant process, and some upcoming events. So I think it's a well done deck. It's not too long. And of course, it's in somebody's home with coffee or cocktails or something, so that we don't try to make it like a pure educational session. We always try to combine the social and engaging along with delivering the information.
Would you be able to share that with us?
I will check.
Thank
now
you.
that I have
you.
Because I will check.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mark,
thanks.
I know you have your hand up.
Yes, I joined Impact 100 in 2018, and shortly after that attended a new member orientation at the home of the membership chair, Sandy Cook. And the leaders of the chapter were the key speakers, the chair of grants and membership, and one other. And that small group of women who were new members was just such an impressionable moment for me, that in that circle, there were 2 people I listened to and thought, I think I'd like to have them as friends. And that was the beginning of my Impact 100 community. So years later, when I had the opportunity to be membership chair, that model for the orientation, it kind of slipped away, and I wanted to bring it back. So when I hold these in the home of a member, I tell this story of my new member orientation and how I made a connection with 2 members who became my closest first friends in Denver. And I say to them, I hope for you this evening, you will find 1 or 2 women that you would like to have as friends as in Impact 100. And then one other thing that happened, one member just could not find time to get to a new member orientation.
And she said, couldn't you do it on Zoom? Well, that misses the opportunity of that first step in building community. But we did record a new member orientation with 3 of the leaders so that it's available for anyone who doesn't have time to get to a new member orientation.
That's interesting. And, you know, I think personal stories have far greater impact on people. So thank you for sharing. Linda, you have your hand up too.
Hi, we have a great membership committee. We're very fortunate. And this year, they're always looking for new and innovative things to do. And one thing they did this year is they invited all of the new members from 2023 to come to kind of just a social at the founder of our Giving Circle's home. And obviously not everybody could come at the same time, and thank heavens, it would have been pretty crowded. And we will do another one later this year. But our founder talked about what it was like, you know, in the trenches in the very beginning, and just some time to socialize. And a lot of the, you know, people hadn't had a chance to meet each other. So it was really informal, really great. We went over a few things. A couple of committees gave some highlights, and it was just a relaxing, fun, easy morning. And it also involves, you know, people that were there from the beginning. So it was kind of a win-win.
That really is. That's a good concept. So Joan, you have your hand up.
Hi. So I took on membership chair for Impact 100 Westchester as a fairly new member and coming out of COVID. So I'm loving some of these ideas. One of the things that we heard from one of our new members, who was a friend of mine this past year, was she joined, she had attended an information session, she knew a lot about it, but then she said, okay, so now what? And so she encouraged us to write a list of frequently asked questions. So now you're a member. What happens now? And so with her help, we crafted this, you know, what are the most questions people have once they become a member? And we're sending them out to new members as they join, because they joined through the course of months. So you may not have a time for them to be together right away. So this was very helpful. They get something in the mail. We tried to hand delivering at one point, but that didn't work. So at least they get something that knows that we didn't just take their membership and now they don't, you know, an invitation isn't coming for something for a while. We'll see how it goes.
What sort of questions?
Well, something about, one of them was, do I have to do anything? Do I have to join a committee? Or can I just be a member and come vote at the annual meeting? Because some of our members want to do that. When, you know, who do I talk to about joining a committee? I can't remember the others. We tried to keep it to one page to be very, you know, not very wordy, because the website has a lot of information for new members, but just what that is. And we'll tweak it again, I think, for this next round as we start our new cycle.
Thanks, Joan. Very interesting. Margot, you have your hand up.
Yeah, we did 2 things on that same idea. We have a poster at our annual meeting and a handout that goes at our meetings, which is a circle, and it shows the cycle of what is happening at every month. And then I can't find that there, but you know, we also handed out like a little bookmark that had dates and explanations of the process. But one of the things that came up as a result of our annual meeting last week, where people were asking questions about things they were confused about, and we were puzzled because we'd explained it at the meeting and we explained it at new member orientations and have it on the website. So we've just decided to start adding a sentence to on Monday afternoons, we have a weekly email that just says this week. And it's usually just has 3 lines, like, this is a meeting that's happening this week, or renew now. And we're going to have one thing that says, do you wonder? And then it will be, do you wonder, how does that voting work? How, what is ranked voting, or how do you get involved in leadership? And that way it's a chance for people to get information in a very quick bit our open rate on those are astonishingly high. It's like 70-something%. And it's because I think it comes on a regular period and it's very, very brief.
I love that idea. I think that's great. Others? Joan, is your hand up because you have more? Because please go ahead. Oh, okay. Sorry. So we used to use a bookmark, and it had the information about getting to the member side of our website. And then once COVID came, I don't even know if we have those bookmarks anymore. But I know we had tried that. And Harriet, I see your hand up.
Yes, we started several years ago a listserv, and we have very significant guidelines. People can't use it for anything but giving together issues. So somebody can't say, I'm looking for the best restaurant or I need a plumber. But when a new member joins, they are then invited to, and it's their choice, to be part of the listserv. And we share with them the guidelines. And some of the guidelines indicate where to go to ask questions about. But the other thing we do that's been quite successful, because people go through the door at different times, and somebody might join just because we say to people, some people just want to give us their check, and other people want one of the hallmarks of our giving circle is we have a very active community service arm. And so some people really do want not just to be on a committee, but we do periodic Zoom 101s. And they might be on how to explain our grants committee and what work is involved and what our criteria are. Others might be on communities. My co-chair and I'm co-chair of community service. We will do a community service 101. A lot of people are concerned that if they sign up for community service, they're committed once a week, but we don't work that way. We have, I won't take the time now, but we have a full spectrum of ways people can get involved. And we find that some people have been members a few years and then they say, you know, I just retired and I'd like to volunteer more. So we do this periodically because people's needs change. And then what we did a year and a half ago is we did a rather detailed Survey Monkey about people's reactions to giving together, what their involvement had been, what questions they might have. And we had over a 75% return rate. And it really helped us because we asked people, is there a committee you'd like to serve on? And so then we have the chair of that committee getting back to that person. I won't say it's been 100% successful. I mean, for example, we are still wondering how to do a better job of leadership succession. And we're certainly open to good ideas about that. But I think in terms of the other things, it has certainly helped members who had different levels of interest or availability to get not just a one-time information session, but doing them periodically. They can then get involved when it's right for them.
And I think the information that you provide about the work involved must be very useful, as opposed to, say, getting a paragraph that, you know, the communications committee puts out the newsletter 4 times a year and does this, this, and that. It would be a way to give more details.
People frequently ask how many hours a week are involved. Like our grant cycle goes over for about 3 months. So we're able to say in this 3 months period, this is when the committees will meet. And if you can't attend a meeting, there are other ways you can provide your information or take on a task.
You know, thank you for all the reminders that people have shared about timing is everything. So we have members that join definitely where they aren't sure where they'll get involved. Maybe they have other commitments and this will be like their next commitment. And so being open to those ideas and suggesting that, and those are some of the things I'm hearing. Renee, I'm going to jump in and help you wrap this up because we want to put out a plug for some things. And thank you. Renee and I are chairing this membership roundtable, and it really grew out of doing Comps Club and finding that people were asking a lot of membership specific issues, and it's just been really successful this year. So thank you to all of you for joining and sharing such terrific ideas. Really appreciate it. I have some good notes about suggestions for our July meeting. I've been tracking that. It sounds like being prepared for new member onboarding and orientation. And I like the idea to not use that word orientation because like, oh yeah, one more thing. New members socializing, social. That's great. I did want to call out Ann Arabian's on here from Impact Sonoma, and they do monthly education programs that sound like they're very well attended because I have some friends over in that group. We have an interesting split in the county with Impact Sonoma and Impact Redwood Circle, but those are really well attended, and I think that would be a interesting thing. Maybe as I've listened, we could share some of the educational things that have come up here and how that could be part of membership retention and engagement. So I also want to put a call out. We'll be starting our new fiscal year, July 1 in Philanos. And so we take a little break for the summer, but we do what we call Philanos U. So every week there's highlights from previous sessions that we've done over the past year, the past 2 years. We have a lot of content from our Baltimore conference that we're looking at right now and looking at ways to share. So watch for Philanos U. We have a comms club next Tuesday on the 28th, and there's a tech talk on June 20th. And those are open to anyone. Share them with your circles. We want people to know about them. Make sure that people are getting engaged. If they don't really know about Philanos, anybody can be part of this in your circle. It's not limited to certain officers or leadership positions. It's really a great way too to engage people in collective giving and gain some experience with that. And I thank you, Renee, for stepping in this morning. We also will have a poll. We would love your comments on that. And I will be very transparent about this. We are looking for some engagement numbers. We have a big Fidelity grant and they're looking for response on engagement. And we all know from being membership people how important that engagement number is. So please feel free to fill that out really quickly. Nancy has put it up for us. And we will have our next one on July. Oh my goodness, help me out, Nancy. You know everything. It's the third Tuesday in July.
And-
Sorry, I was on mute.
And we're always looking for topics. So you don't have to necessarily put them in chat. If topics come to you, please email us. Let us know. We're happy.
Yes, yes. Yes, please. You just have to send them. Go a variety of ways. admin@philanos.org, and Nancy will do a terrific job of forwarding them to all of us. Media, we want to hear from you. Use the portal, the member portal. That has a lot of good things. The recording will come out in an email, but we also have previous recordings from membership roundtables in there from this year. So